All right, everyone, get in here, sit down, and shut up. We've got stuff to talk about. It's week 7. It's time for Pick'em. Let's get right into it, starting with the Thursday night game where the Broncos are heading down to New Orleans to take on the Saints. I think the Broncos walk out of here with probably one of their easiest wins of the season. The Saints are not a good football team, in my opinion. The Broncos have an elite defense. If Derek Carr doesn't play, or maybe even if he does play, I don't think it's going to matter. The Saints seem like they are just in an absolute tailspin right now. I think the Broncos win. Don't think it's close. The Jaguars were not allowed to leave London because of how terrible they lost to the Bears, so they brought in an easier opponent this time in the New England Patriots to see maybe if they can't win their way home or something like that. Not sure. This is probably a tough game, but I do think the Jacksonville Jaguars will win. I think they are a bit better team than the Patriots, just not by too much, it would seem. But the Patriots, I just don't, I think it could end up being quite a bit of a shootout, honestly. I think there might be a lot of points scored in this game. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, just airing it out all over London or wherever they're playing over there in England. And that's what you'll end up with. But I think overall, the Jaguars will come out on top. Seahawks head to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. This is probably one of the tougher games I saw this week to pick. I'm really not 100% certain who I like more here. I think the Falcons are pretty solid, but I think the Seattle Seahawks might find their way out of the losing columns here they've had the last few weeks. If I had to pick, though, I think I'm going to take the safer bet here, take the Atlanta Falcons. I just think that they have, they have a more well-rounded team, and I'm starting not to trust Geno Smith too much anymore. I think he's good enough to help Seattle beat bad teams, but when they start playing a little bit better team, better quality team like the Falcons here, I just don't think he's enough. Titans head to Buffalo to take on the Bills. I don't really think it's much argument here. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills win this game. They are just a better team overall. The Titans, I kind of like what they're building down there in Tennessee. Looks like maybe a good 2-3 year plan there to have a good solid team in a couple years. I think they give Buffalo a pretty hard fought game, but overall Buffalo will just pull ahead. Quality will win out. The Bengals get to get their third win of the season. That's the Cleveland Browns, who severely let me down. They did cover the 8 and 8.5 or something like that point spread that they were given against the Eagles. They did keep the game close. I really thought they were going to beat the Eagles because, newsflash, the Eagles suck. But it's not going to help them against Cincinnati. Cincinnati will roll through them, especially after only putting up 17 against the Giants. I think they're probably looking into this game and wanting to get that offense back on track again. This could get scary for the Browns. Another absolutely tough game, in my opinion, because I do think, as I mentioned before in a previous Pick'em video, the Packers can't decide if they're a good team or a bad team, and I think they are leaning towards a good team. A home game against the Texans could prove that even further. I think this will be a great game, a good, solid football game. I don't think anyone's going to get demolished or anything here. Maybe a bit of back and forth. I think I'm going to go with the Texans, though. I love Green Bay in Green Bay, but I just think Houston's a better team. And if Green Bay proves me wrong here and wins this game, then I'll start taking them a bit more seriously moving forward. As a Dolphin fan, the only answer here is the Colts. It's the last game before Tua comes back, potentially, and I don't see them winning. However, if there is a saving grace, it may be that the Colts decide to play Anthony Richardson. Now, that could be a great thing, could be a horrible thing. I think it's better than Joe Flacco. I think Joe Flacco playing will be a solid enough quarterback choice that the Colts will be good enough to beat us pretty soundly if he plays. I think with Richardson, though, we either get absolutely demolished because of his athletic ability, or he turns the ball over like 3 or 4 times and it helps us sneak out a win and get back to 500 just in time for Tua to come back. So I'm a little torn here, but I think I'm going to lean the Colts. This might be the best game of the week. The Lions heading to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Perhaps the 2 best teams in the NFL right now. It's tough to pick against an undefeated team. It's even tougher to pick against them when they're at home. I kind of think the Vikings will win this one, and I'll tell you why. I think the Lions probably had one of the easiest games of their schedule last week, and I think it doesn't help that the Vikings are coming off a bye week. So I'm going with the Vikings here, but I think if I could watch any game this week, it would be that one right there. Vikings win, though, just because they're coming off a bye, and the Lions just, coming off of clowning a team and not having any real competition. So give me the Vikings in this one. All right, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a tough game for me to pick. 1, I don't think the Eagles are a very good football team. 2, I really don't think the Giants are a very good football team. So what do we do here? Well, I think I'm going to swing with the Giants this week. I think they're at home, coming off a loss at home to the Bengals, of course. I think they're going to put up a few more points. I think the Eagles will prove me right this week and show that they're not as good as they were. Let's think about it. The Giants did beat the Browns. Sure. The Eagles barely beat the Browns. So using that logic, a little bit of NFL math, you might call it, I think we're going to go with the Giants on this one. I think they do squeak out a win. Raiders going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. I mean, you would love to say, hey, the Raiders don't have Devontae anymore. There's no more weapons. Well, they really haven't had Devontae all season. He's been sort of checked out, and he's had a hamstring issue the last few weeks, which I'm going to bet magically is a lot better come this next weekend with the Jets. But either way, I think the Rams win this one. I think they're just a better overall team. I think the Raiders are pretty close to their maximum amount of wins this season. Panthers heading to Washington to take on the Redskins, and I think this one could get ugly. I think the Redskins, coming off that loss against the Ravens, are going to use the Panthers to take out some frustration from that game, get back in the winning category, and maybe, just maybe, if I had to maybe toss a little money here, I have a sneaky feeling this could be a shutout. I think the Redskins might just blank the Panthers in this one. Either way, Redskins win big. All right, here's another big game. This whole week full of big games, in my opinion. You've got the Chiefs here going to San Francisco to take on the 49ers, who I think will finally beat the Chiefs. Again, not a primetime game. 49ers look good. Chiefs coming off a bye week, and I believe Andy Reid has an exquisite record when coming off the bye week. So I think you're going to see a little bit of a slip up here. I bet you, as soon as you start hearing that whole, like they'll use that in the games. As soon as this game starts, if it's on TV, the commentators will mention Andy Reid's record against teams coming off a bye and how good it is. They've done it before, and the Chiefs and the Eagles, they always seem to win after the bye week. I don't really know what the record is off the top of my head. I just know I've heard it a ton that Andy Reid does really well coming off the bye weeks. That's going to be the announcer curse. 49ers win this game. Maybe a close one, maybe not. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. But the 49ers will win this game. The New York Jets and their new acquisition, Davante Adams, head to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Jets, I mean, pretty good game against the Bills on Monday night. I don't think they have it, though, to beat the Steelers, especially with that offensive line, which is really what they should be trading for, not another wide receiver. But I think what you see is T.J. Watt in prime time have an absolutely colossal game against that offensive line and just be all up in Rodgers' grill, as some may say. Plus, I mean, you got to think Davante Adams, even as great as he is and as well as he maybe knows Rodgers, and maybe Rodgers can, help get him caught up and up to speed and whatnot for this game. I mean, I can't imagine he's going to be 100% on a short week, no less, because I mean the trade just happened on Tuesday. You're seeing this video at the earliest on Wednesday, so they really a short week heading into a primetime game against the Steelers. So now the Steelers did lose to the Cowboys, so maybe they're not as good as I think they are. But in this one, I think I'm going Steelers. Another top tier game right here. The Ravens and the Buccaneers, 4-2, both going into the game. Man, Tampa Bay is just full of a bunch of ballers. Baker Mayfield has that clock ticking. However, the Ravens and Derrick Henry are a match made in heaven. I don't know. It's tough right now to pick against the Ravens. They are just, the lights will be on. They're just firing all cylinders. 4 wins in a row. Tampa Bay has been kind of back and forth, but I can't really count them out. I think it ends up being a great game, but overall, I think the Ravens will come out on top. I don't know if Derrick Henry continues to have the games he's been having, but I don't see why he wouldn't. All right, this week we get 2 Monday night football games. The Chargers versus the Cardinals is the second of the 2. I don't really see a lot happening in this game. I think the Chargers win, mostly because I don't really think the Cardinals are that good of a football team. But then again, it may just be more that I don't really think Kyler Murray is that good at football. But overall, I think the Chargers have a better defense, better quarterback, better coach. So it all kind of adds up to a win for them. Those are my picks for the week. I think I've been doing pretty good. Haven't really gone back and looked. Pretty sure I've gotten them all right so far. And if you believe me, go ahead and like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff for me because you're awesome. And I like awesome people, and I want awesome people to subscribe to the channel, which is you, because you watched. Thank you so much for watching, and you take it easy.